The inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
To come here to Cincinnati State gives me a chance to open that door. Say, come on and get educated. You don't have to go to college. Get a certificate, get an associate degree, and then hopefully get people turned on that maybe they will pursue a 4-year. Or those who get a certificate or associate degree and get a great job. We have students that make more money than 4-year college graduates after certificates or 2-year programs.
Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. When Hamilton County Coroner Odell Owens was named president of Cincinnati State Technical and Community College last week, a lot of people I work with and know took a double take. It was hard enough for people to stop thinking of Dr. Owens as a fertility doctor and start thinking of him as the coroner. But after 2 successful campaigns, just as people had made the adjustment, he has announced another big job change. What is going on? I am joined this morning by Dr. Odell Owens, the current Hamilton County Coroner, who the day after Labor Day will become the president of Cincinnati State Technical and Community College. Odell, welcome back to Newsmakers.
Thank you.
What is going on here?
I'm going to be the president of a great institution in Cincinnati.
And why? What's the motivation? What in your mind is the connector between where you started, that most of us knew, the fertility doctor, to the coroner, to the president of Cincinnati State?
Well, you know, the core of me comes from Antioch College, where I always viewed myself as an agent of social change. Medicine was certainly an avenue to facilitate that. You know, when you look at the word disease, the old classic Greek meaning means not at ease. And so I've been attracted and drawn to issues where people are not at ease. So for me, this is down the same path. More immediately, as a coroner, I've spent a lot of time telling young people, get educated, stay out of trouble, become a productive citizen. And then I moved to get educated, stay out of trouble, to survive. We can save a child's life by educating a child, teaching a child how to read. The opportunity at Cincinnati State, I wasn't looking to be a college president. I would not have wanted to be a college president, but I had an opportunity to be the college president of Cincinnati State. Right time, right place. Here's a place where I could tell and say to young kids, hey, the door is open. Not just to get a college degree, you can come get a certificate, you can come get a GED, but get educated. Cincinnati State needed someone to be the face of the institution, someone that could work with politicians and someone could raise money. That was their top 3 criteria. I felt that was me.
Well, we're going to talk about Cincinnati State here in a minute, but as you leave the coroner's office, what is it that you think you've accomplished there?
I think what I accomplished in the coroner's office was, one, raising the standard. We really raised the standard of the coroner's office, and we can measure that by how quickly we were able to release death certificates so that people that needed that money could get that money by having that death certificate. We raised the quality.
In other words, if you don't have a death certificate, you can't apply for insurance.
No.
You can't. Okay.
And you know, in this country, so in deficit, we're taking 3 to 4 months. There's a family out there with no money because they can't show something to the insurance company. I think we raised the level of credibility in the office, accountability in the office. We put in a very tight security system. We put in a system where individuals could speak up. We will never have an incident again where someone could take a photograph in an apartment, and if other people felt uncomfortable, they could come to the coroner and say, I'm uncomfortable with what's going on, and get an explanation. Before, they couldn't challenge that. And I think we show people how important every department in this county is and what we do in the coroner's office. We added transparency. People knew that if there was going to be a controversial death, they were going to get an explanation, and the correct explanation.
You know, another side of the coroner's office was that's an elected position. And, you know, the first time when you had to run, it was a difficult race.
Right.
Second time was a walk.
Right.
But you were so popular and with voters, there was a lot of talk about you having a political future, you know, and I heard talk saying, Odell Owens someday is going to run for governor of this state. Were those your dreams?
No. You know, there were people that have approached me. There were a group of Democrats here in the county because they had clout, said, look, we'd like to nominate you for a Surgeon General with Obama's group. And I think I would have had a great shot at that because I know some of the people, and people have asked me, what about the Department of Health when that position was first open when Strickland came in? And I said, no, it's got to fit my passion. You know, most recently people talk to me a lot about being the mayor. Oh, you should be the next mayor, you should be the next mayor. But you know, it doesn't grab me as much as what I'm going to do starting next week. It's about passion and following your passion. I think I can do more, have a greater impact for thousands of individuals. I can have impact for people who are yet to be born by the things that we can do starting next week at Cincinnati State.
If you had to describe to people what Cincinnati State is today, who have never been there, they've never been on campus, maybe they've passed it on 75 and looked up on the hill, but they don't know the institution. How would you describe it? What are its strengths? Who does it serve? What are the key elements of Cincinnati State?
Cincinnati State's a community college, and a community college is a college that should be very close and very tied to the community. It is a place that will find success in individuals that have never had success. It's a place for people to have a second chance, but also a place for people to make that their primary destination. Going to finish high school, I want a great career, they come to Cincinnati State. Cincinnati State is a two-year college. It is not a shadow of UC or a substitution for UC. It is a separate institution for those individuals that want a quality education for less money, but have an opportunity to go to work after 2 years. Now, it also has almost 50 certificate programs. Now, we have programs where you can get a certificate and then get a job making $40,000, $50,000, more than people who are going to a four-year college.
So, probably a lot of people know about the Culinary Institute.
Right.
As the new president, what are some of the programs that you would point to that you think are important besides that?
I think the whole health program at Cincinnati State is just outstanding. The nursing program has a 2-year wait. The ultrasound school has a 2-year wait. Physical therapy, a 2-year wait. Great program in engineering. People have gone there and transferred to some of the best 4-year engineering programs in the country. It has medical assisting. As I said, we own the Harrison Airport, web design. There's so many things you can do at Cincinnati State and get a job. And it's one of the top co-op schools. Not only going to give you the practical information in the classroom, you're able to go and do a co-op job and get that on-site, hands-on experience as well. What a great combination. I had that experience at Antioch College.
And what is it that Cincinnati State, at this point in its history, which it's celebrated its 40th anniversary last year, what does it need? And what do you think you can bring to it? Why do you think they were interested in you, and what is it that you can do that they need at this point?
Well, repeatedly what came out in all the interviews is leadership. They need someone to be the face of that institution. And they said, boy, you became the face of the coroner's office, you changed the institution. If you could bring that same energy, that same passion to Cincinnati State, we're going to be successful. They want someone really to tell the story. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is to tell the story of Cincinnati State, all the great things that they've done and will do. And from that, fundraise. Here's a school we're going to have 11,000 students with an endowment of $2 million. Yeah. When you compare Cincinnati State to other community colleges, we provide the smallest amount of financial aid from the institution than the average community college in the state of Ohio. They get government, but what's coming from the own institution, we rank at the bottom. So we need to raise money. Because, there are many students at Cincinnati State that work 2 and 3 jobs just to go there. We need to lessen that burden by lessening their financial burden. And that's how you're going to retain the students as well. So,
is there a plan in place yet for an endowment drive, or is that something that you're going to have to?
Well, I think there's been some conversations, okay. And certainly I think when I come in, we'll sit down. I'm going to go out and talk to people, talk to UC, talk to Xavier. Xavier just finished, very successful, and say, give us some. We don't need money from them, but some of their expertise. What were some of the bumps? What do you think we can do? Who are people that we should talk to? And then sit down and come up with a figure, a realistic figure, and try to go for that.
Okay. I want to shift over. You also, education on lots of levels has been your passion for a long time. And again, people who maybe don't know you maybe not remember that it wasn't straight from fertility doctor to coroner. There was this period of time that you were really focused on some educational initiatives in the city. You are now very involved with an organization called Stand for Kids. What's that about, and what's that focus of that?
Stand for Kids is a grassroots organization made up of different organizations, different individuals who are all focused on what's best for the children of Cincinnati Public Schools. We're in a historical position now where the CPS, Cincinnati Public Schools, and the Teachers Union are negotiating the next contract. And it's so important because you have the race to the top money, about almost $13
Just
million.
awarded.
Just awarded. And there's certain things you have to do. They want to see innovation. Cincinnati Public Schools just got an effective rating. They're one step away from getting an excellent rating. And they did that through innovations and through some redesigning and some flexibility that the superintendent used, that the union said, well, maybe you overstepped your authority. And I think there are times in which the administration has overstepped their authority in letting classrooms who be small be large. But it's a time for union and CPS to come together based on what's best for kids. And first thing we pushed, we didn't want this to go to impasse. They had made a decision in December. If they didn't have a contract by the middle of August, they would go to impasse. Well, impasse means that a third-party negotiator would come in and sell the contract. That's unacceptable. That's failure. You cannot let a person who doesn't have skin in the game make a decision that's going to impact the future of the children here in Cincinnati. The other issue, now that they've come together and they both agree they're not going to have impasse, the other issue is to be innovative, to really add student achievement as part of the evaluation for teachers. Teachers can get evaluated, but there's nothing about student achievement. We're not asking that they have a very sophisticated program from day one, but start working on that. And I think when you have a program where you're talking about student achievement, those teachers that don't achieve, help them cure that. And then if those teachers still can't achieve, then how do you have a graceful way of moving them out of the school or out of the system? There's no way for that to be done now. You know, we want more accountability in those areas.
Well, you know, that whole changing teacher evaluation, tying compensation to success, you know, that is something that's taking place all over the United States. And this isn't a new idea just for Cincinnati.
And it's taken care of right here in Cincinnati. The superintendent looked at the schools that raised their scores. They helped them to get that effective rating. She's now awarding them with money. The principals and the teachers will probably get about $2,000. So we're doing it here. We are innovating. What we need to do is to internalize that, institutionalize what she's doing now across the whole board, across the whole system. We're so close. I don't understand why they can't come together. So our group is the group that's going to keep putting this on the table and putting this on the table and representing every student in the system and their families.
So your group is not inside the negotiating room.
No.
And do you really have any sense of where we are in these negotiations?
No, but we certainly know that they're not where they should be because they're still negotiating. They've been doing it since December 31st when the contract
and school started.
And school started, so they need to do this. One of my biggest concerns is that, you know, the citizens of Cincinnati have never turned their back on Cincinnati Public School. They have passed all the levies. And yet we're surrounded by school districts that don't appreciate this system enough to pass a levy. And I think we're at this historical point where the union and CPS can come together, have a historical contract that will really impact our students, that's going to get us that excellent rating.
Do you have a sense that, I know you're not in the room, but do you have a sense that there are proposals on the table that would be innovative, that would really push this forward?
Oh, absolutely, they're on the table because they're partly driven by the race to the top. Mm-hmm. And from the Teachers Project, who actually said, here are some of the weaknesses in Cincinnati Public School system.
The new Teachers Project.
The new Teachers Project, here are the things you need to do. So they're working around those proposals. My sense is they have to be close. It's a matter, anytime you have negotiation, it's you take some, you pull back some. I think they're close, they can do it. They're such good people. We have such good administrators, we got such good people in the union, we got great teachers. We need to come together. They can do this.
And why do you think it would be, if somebody says impasse, why do you think a negotiator might not come in and say, hey, some of these things that you were close to, that's what we're going to do?
No, but a negotiator is going to come in and balance each group. And not going to necessarily focus on the core issue. They may get involved in some of the other contract languages. Well, sick days, how do you account for sick days? Do you trade them 2 for 1 or 4 for 1? And miss the core piece, which we, the community, think is the most important piece.
Okay. Now back to Cincinnati State. Again, I suspect there's a lot of people out there who just don't understand too much about it. I'm very proud to say I have an honorary degree from Cincinnati State, honorary doctorate of technical letters, whatever that is. But you know, this is an institution that has grown sort of organically over time. And you were mentioning in the medical field, which is something, of course, you would know a lot about. One of the things I'm aware of is the ability of some innovative programs at Cincinnati State with Children's Hospital to take people who have worked in the hospital for years as aides and all sorts, and help them become full nurses. And that first class graduated last year. And these are people who have worked at Children's for 10, 12, 15 years. They really know what hospitals are about, and now they're nurses because of Cincinnati State.
And that's the flexibility of Cincinnati State. Cincinnati State, by being a community college, doesn't have to steadfast in tradition. They should be more flexible and fluid. And that's why we have workforce development. We have to have our thumbs and our hearts and our ears on the pulse of what the business community needs and be able to shift. If web design was great 10 years ago but it's not needed today, then we won't offer that. We'll go to those things that are needed now. The green of America. So we're now involved in trying to find issues and sustainability issues around the environment so that we can be current and offer not just the technology but train people ready to use that technology.
You were mentioning 11,000 students. It sits on top of that hill.
Right.
A lot of new facilities over the last decade, but how's the size? Do you need more space?
Yeah,
do you need more facilities?
Absolutely. We will need more facilities, especially parking. When the Cincinnati Enquirer wrote an article comparing community colleges with the proprietary college, or the private, what I call the office colleges, parking was an issue for the students. They can go there and plenty of free parking. Parking's tight. Next month, kids will have to be shuttled from about 2 miles away because we just won't have enough. So we'll really have to look at space and how do we expand, but we have to expand in an appropriate and a collaborative manner, that when we go into an area, we're going to collaborate with whatever other educational institutions are there so that the burden is being shared.
You mentioned the proprietary colleges. We see them all along the expressway. What's the difference between one of those places and Cincinnati State?
We care. We care.
You don't think they care?
No, it's about the profit. When you're a proprietary profit, remember, you have a fiduciary responsibility to your stockholders to return a profit. As a board member, those are, that's their role, is to return money. Our responsibility, we got two bottom lines. One that serves a financial bottom line, but a social bottom line. We have to show our community that we have value. We return to our community, our stakeholders, individuals ready to be productive citizens.
So, from a student's point of view, if you were to tell a student, what practically would you tell them would be the difference between if they were talking to Cincinnati State and considering Cincinnati State versus considering one of those?
We have a campus. I'm going to give you the college life. We have a basketball team. People don't realize we have a basketball team, both men and women. We have a golf team. We have soccer. We have a college campus. Come and enjoy the college life while you're educated. Have that experience. Develop those relationships. Not just pull into some parking lot and go into an office classroom. For some people, that's great. Now, the other factor people got to realize is the state has mandated that all of the educational institutions in Ohio go to a semester. And so therefore, our students will be able to articulate with UC because they can transfer semesters. Most of the office colleges are quarters. So if you start at an office college, how are you going to transfer, if you want to transfer to another four-year institution in the state of Ohio?
So UC is going to semesters. Will you be going to a semester on the same program?
The state is mandated. The chancellor and governor, state of Ohio, have mandated that.
That's a big change in itself.
That's a big change in itself.
And the president has to lead that. Get those faculty through that.
And it's tough, but they've done very well. They've done their homework. They've talked to other schools, so it's going smoothly.
Well, I think it's great that you're the new president of Cincinnati State, and I know that we will hear a lot and see a lot of you out in the community, which is the role of the president, and congratulations, and thank you for everything you do.
Well, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the people of Cincinnati for always being supportive of me.
Okay. Stay tuned. After the break, an investigative report about a recent government hiring in Green Township. Anyone who has been searching for a job in this economy knows that success often turns on networking and personal connections as much or more than theoretical qualifications. But when it comes to government jobs, there has been a long effort to shield the appointments from political influence. Local 12 reporter Jeff Hirsh has been investigating a hiring in Green Township that challenges that tradition.
Green Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, is a very Republican place. Very. How Republican? Consider this. In 2008, Hamilton County as a whole went for Barack Obama, 53% to 46%.
Cincinnati, this is our moment.
But Green Township, a John McCain landslide, 72% to 25%.
The next president of the United States, John McCain.
All three elected Green Township trustees are Republicans.
Can you please call roll?
Sure. Trustee Lindenberg?
Here.
Trustee Winkler?
Here.
Trustee Upton?
Here.
You know, conservative stewards of the public money. But one lifelong Republican has his doubts. Doubts fueled by the hiring of a politically connected woman for a $50,000 a year township position.
What's bad about that?
It's government by the privileged for the privileged.
The job, executive assistant to the township administrator, went to Jennifer Triantafilou. If that last name sounds a bit familiar, Jennifer Triantafilou is the wife of Alex Triantafilou, chairman of the Hamilton County Republican Party. Late last year, the township advertised for applicants looking to fill what would soon be a vacancy due to retirement. 99 people applied, 99! But the job just happened to go to the wife of the party chair.
Is there any doubt in your mind that this was a political hire?
No way. It's obvious on its face.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Consistent Republican voter Jeff
This,
Smith is
Human
not
Resources
happy.
is
He's
associated
dug through
with
resumes, township policies, attended meetings, and concludes Jennifer Triantafilou is not even close to qualified for the job, but was hired anyway.
I think she ought to be fired because having her there is nothing more than shoving cronyism in the face of every resident of Green Township.
Consider this. Last fall, the township put an ad in the paper for the position, executive assistant to the township administrator, soliciting resumes which must be received by November 9th, 2009. Now, you might think that if you received nearly 100 applicants by the deadline, you'd have a pretty decent applicant pool, and you could find somebody from that group. But on November 20th, nearly 2 weeks after the deadline, a letter and resume came in from Jennifer Triantafilou. Every other resume was date-stamped by the township. Every one except hers.
That strike you as a bit odd?
Uh-huh.
But that's not all. Township Administrator Kevin Solaric and Trustee Tony Upton went through all the resumes, came up with 13 semifinalists, including Triantafilou, interviewed those 13, cut it down to 4 finalists, and recommended one of those 4 as the top candidate. Jennifer Triantafilou was not in the final 4, but she got the job.
There's in no way that she is qualified for this job as it's described.
The job description called for a college degree or a minimum of 5 years' experience in a government agency, background and experience in human resource management, and knowledge of governmental laws and regulations. Jennifer Triantafilou, no college degree, no 5 years' experience with a government agency, no human resource management. Her career has primarily been as a medical technician.
I looked at all the resumes, every single one of them, but specifically at the 13. Was there something that stood out about her resume to you?
On paper, she's as qualified as any other candidates. The other people liked her. That's all that matters.
Dave Lindenberg is president of the Board of Trustees.
Was this a political hire?
No, it was not.
Lindenberg says you cannot just hire off a resume. Meeting and getting to know someone are also critical.
We did not create a new position. We did not, get a phone call and say, hey, can you help here? We had an opening. We did a full search, 100 resumes. We hired who we thought was the most qualified person, not paper, but person for the position, and she's doing a wonderful job.
Both other trustees, Tracy Winkler and Tony Upton, also say the hiring was not political. Although remember, Upton originally recommended 4 other finalists. This memo from Administrator Kevin Solaric, dated December 7, 2009, listed the 4 people he and Upton said were the best candidates. But one day later, Administrator Soleric noted on his calendar David, that would be David Lindenberg, said, hire Triantafilou. Now remember, there were 4 finalists recommended by the administrator and by Trustee Tony Upton. But only one of those 4, the top candidate, was actually called back for a second interview, as was Jennifer Triantafilou. The 3 other finalists? Nope. Guess who was hired?
The whole thing that she was selected based on her qualifications and personality is just ludicrous.
To get an outside independent review, we sent the resumes of all 13 finalists to a job placement specialist. Now, we blacked out the names to ensure confidentiality, and we also included the township's job description. Based on the resumes only, that specialist had some different opinions on who should have been in the final 4 and who was the best candidate. But one of the people he put in the do not even bring in for an interview at all, without knowing the name, was Jennifer Triantafilou. The trustees' president, however, says Triantafilou is here to stay and is doing a great job, helping run the census, for example, where Green Township was second in the nation in response.
Should she be penalized because she's married to Alex? She just fits in well with the rest of the staff, and that's what we were looking for.
Now, is this making too big a deal about an administrative assistant's position? Even the critics say Jennifer Triantafilou may end up doing a very good job. But those critics also say this is really about the hiring process and the people who made the hiring decision. As one of the unsuccessful Final 4 candidates put it, a person who did not want their name used, this was a total waste of time for the 99 people who applied. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Actually, it was only a total waste of time for 98 of the applicants. For one, it all worked out just fine. Jeff Hirsh, Local 12.
Hamilton County Republican Chairman Alex Triantafilou had no comment on this series of events when contacted by Jeff Hirsh. Join us again next week to meet the women and the men shaping our community for the future. Have a good week.